Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Earl Rush with Straight Up Talk Show with Earl Rush and Eileen Torres. And we have a very special evening tonight. Uh, Eileen and I have the honor and the privilege of speaking with the legendary Eddie Montalvo. I'm going to tell you a quick story about Mr. Montalvo, and then we're going to get straight to Eileen and get straight to the interview. I was at the New York Salsa Congress, I would say about 2008 or 2009. Top flight bands, big name bands were playing in the Congress. But there was this one band that just stood out. If I tell you the name of all the other bands, you'd be like, wow, what an impressive lineup. Mr. Montalvo's band came on and rocked that house and left a memory on me that I will never forget that night at the New York Salsa Congress. Now, I didn't start doing research until recently. I started hanging out with Eileen Torres and Bela Martinez. I could care less about history. But that night at the New York Congress, I went home and I looked up, who is Eddie Montalvo? I found out who he was. This is back in 2008. So I am so excited that we're going to get a chance to talk to him. I'm going to bring on Eileen and Mr. Montalvo right now.
Hi, Earl.
Hello.
And our special guest, the legend in his own time, Eddie Montalvo.
Yes. How's it going? Mr. Montalvo, I want to thank you so much. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Well, thank you, Earl, and thank you, Eileen, for giving me the opportunity to be on your show tonight. And my kudos to everyone who is watching, and I hope you enjoyed the show.
Well, it's going to be a good one. Eddie's got such a stellar history and such an exciting life, and so many greats that he's played with, and stories that he can tell us. And what I am so impressed with is just his humility and the simple manner in which he explains everything, and the enthusiasm with which he talks about his life, the other musicians, the music, his career, his experiences. And I always want to know about your family life. And the first thing that surprised me is such an unusual occurrence in Latino families is that you're an only child. So
Yes, I'm an only child. When my mother gave birth, the doctor told her, listen, you're blessed to have this child because there was complications, and I don't guarantee that if you have another child that, it will come through. So I guess my mother, may she rest with the Lord, said, well, I'm content with one.
You had to come through. It was fate. And I always want to know the music your family listened to, and what music you liked, and what led you to think that you wanted to become a musician. So take any one of those points and run with it.
Well, I'll take the first one. I'll take I'll take the mom and pops. I'll put it that way. My parents used to always, every weekend I had an aunt who used to throw these house parties. Those were the good times. And we would be there every weekend. And it was a family reunion. It was my cousins, my aunts, my uncles. And everybody, I still remember, everybody would come decked out, all the men in suits, shirt and tie. That's the real old school. And the ladies would come in dress and heels and, all decked out, and they will be listening to music like Tito Rodriguez, all those boleros that he used to sing, and I can still see my parents dancing in the living room. And of course, Tito Puente, and they had Cortijo, Gran Combo, and those were the times. So everybody would be dancing, and I had nothing to do. So they would get me these cans of cracker cans, like the Kerbers or the Goyas, and I would be banging on them. I didn't know what I was doing. And, they would give me $1. Now, $1 at that time was big, because those times $1 went a long way. but they would give me the dollar and they would say, we got a piggy bank for you at home. So start putting that money in that piggy bank so that whenever you want something, you can buy yourself something. I said, oh, okay, great idea. So, you know, I learned two things. I learned, you know, the love that my parents had for me and how it was always a family reunion. And they showed me how to save a dollar.
And your first professional gig?
Okay, my first professional gig, I was professional. I was 17 years old, and I started playing with Joey Pastrana. And from there, you know, the Lord was good, and things started opening up for me. And then I never expected that. You know, I went to Tony Pavona Protesta. I was with Ernie La Compilación for a while. I was with Martin Galagalza. My Lord, we can keep going and going. You know, I never thought, honestly, that I would play professionally, because in my teens, I would go, an example, to Madison Square Garden and see Gran Combo, Fania All Stars, Hector Lavoe, you know, all these major artists, and never in my mind that I think, you know, that I ever thought that I would be performing with them. So I always say, you know, Earl and Eileen, I always say it's a blessing from the Lord, you know, and I say that honestly. You know, I can't put it any other way, because you know why? I say to myself, and I'll say this openly. I say to myself, my Lord, there are so many conga players in the world, and great conga players. Why me? I don't have an answer. You know, God, it's God's way, not my way. That's the way I look at it. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Well, I want to back up. I kind of jumped way ahead of the game here, but so you first were attracted to percussion. Is that correct? And can you tell us?
Yes, I was attracted to percussion because of those cans. And I'm not gonna lie, because of those cans, I got attracted to the bongo because I was just banging on two cans. So at the age of 5 years old, you know, we all believed in Santa Claus. So I asked my parents if it was possible that they can get in contact with Santa Claus at the North Pole, and if they can speak to Santa Claus to bring me a bongo. So my parents came from Puerto Rico to help out their parents, and they were poor. I got to admit, I remember my mother doing piecework. She would go with in Spanish we say friambrera, which was a bowl of rice, a bowl of beans, and meat, and a thermal with coffee. And she would be honestly, she would be on the train like at 6 o'clock in the morning to get to Brooklyn. So it was piecework. If she did 60 pence, she got paid for 60. My father used to do maintenance in the hospitals. So my father was always in the hospitals sweeping and cleaning. And, you know, it was a struggle because the money that would get was to send to Puerto Rico to help out their parents. So coming back to the bongo, yes, Santa Claus appeared. Underneath the tree, there was a bongo, and I was 5 years old. The bongo had no keys. It was one of those that you needed one of those thermals to heat it up to get the sound. But you know, that was my beginnings, you know, of music. And of course, I was so proud that they would. There goes that little picture. I was so proud that I would take that. I would take that bongo with me to my aunt's house. Now that I didn't have to bang on cans, and while they were dancing, I'm trying to get sound out of the bongo, you know. So that was my beginnings, and then of course I became like a teenager, and maybe about 10 years old, I started to go across the street from my house, and there was always jam sessions, and all the street rumberos were there. You can put it like that. All the street rumberos, Eileen, were there, and Earl. And my Lord, the passion, honestly, the passion was like unbelievable, because I would hear a drum and my heart would start to beat real fast, you know. And I'm serious, because that was the love that the drum was calling me. So at 10 years old, I asked my parents again if Santa Claus would provide, if it was possible, if he had one, and to get a conga. So sure enough, you know, parents are parents. You love your children, and we must admit. And sure enough, there comes the there comes the conga at 10 years old. So it was a struggle, because I would go across the street. The jam session was rocking, and they wouldn't let me sit down. Why? Because I didn't know how to play. So here I am with a $50 Mexican drum that I'll never forget, and I'm walking down there with no case to put it in, you know, no cover, no nothing, just walking downstairs with a strap. Looked like Babalu, you know, I'm coming down with a strap. And, you know, I go downstairs and they don't let me jam. So I was getting frustrated. I go there every day and they don't let me sit down. So one day, I'll never forget, there was a conga player that played with Willie Colon. His name was Hector Andrade. They call him Bucky. He recorded in the Hustler album with Willie Colon. And he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "My name is Eddie." He said, "Man, I see you here every day." I said, "Yeah, because, you know, I like the way you guys play, but you guys don't let me sit down." He said, "But do you know how to play?" And I said, "No, I don't." I'm serious. So he says to me, "Well, I'll tell you what. I'll teach you the beginning. I'll teach you a tumbao, which is tudum. So I said, "Okay." And I was happy. My eyes lit up. I know my eyes lit up. I was happy. So sure enough, he taught me the tumbao, and he told me, "You know what I want you to do? You got records?" And I said, "Yeah, my father has a Victrola, you know, it was one of them German big ones, you know." And my father used to have 78s and 33s. Never forget, it was 78, 30. Very rarely it was a 45. It was always like a 78 and a 33. So sure enough, I would go upstairs and try to play with the record. And I still remember. So I would go every day back to the yard across the street, back to the park. Back to the park across the street. And I would say, "Hey, Bucky, how you doing?" He would go like this. And he would say, "How you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm practicing." He says, "Okay, well, I'll tell you what. When you think you're ready, you come downstairs. But I'm going to let you know now. You got to be on your game. When you start, you got to stay there. And if 5 drummers come in and they swap drums, you're going to stay on that drum. And if you let that rhythm down, you're going to get up and you're not playing with us." And I said, "Oh, okay." So that was like a big thing for me. So sure enough, you know when they say Eddie Montalvo always plays in the pocket, is because I got taught how to play in that pocket. You stay there, don't move, leave it there, don't move. So sure enough, I thought I was ready, and I said to him, "Bucky, I think I'm ready." And he says, "Okay, come on, sit down." So there you go, and you got to stay there. And you had these guys that would play quinto, and the guy would play the second drum, and you will hear ding, 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 ding. You know, you hear the rhythm from the street. And sure enough, that was my lesson. You know, I learned from there, and the rest is history. You know, like I said before, I played with a lot of groups. I met Julio Romero, which was a bass player that played at one time with Ray Barretto, and he also played with Willie Rosario. But he was in a school called Morris High School, So when I was in high school, I went to a trade school. It was an all-boys school because it was a trade school. So when I was in high school, I asked my music teacher, I say mine because then I got into the group. But I remember going to try out for the band. And when I walked downstairs into the room, the teacher says to me, "May I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd like to try out for the band." And he says to me, "What do you play?" And I say, "Conga." And he says, "Oh, no, wait a minute. You know, I got congas players by the millions here." And I said, "Wow." I said, "But," he says, no, but there's no but. You don't play trumpet?" "No, I don't." "You play bass?" "No." You play trombone?" "No, I don't." He says, "Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. What grade are you in now?" I said, "Well, I'm a junior now." He says, "Well, I'll tell you what. Come see me next year on your senior year." So it was like a letdown for me, but I waited all that time. And when the following year came, which was my senior year, I went back downstairs and the teacher says, "Yeah, man, I help you." I said, "Well, listen, last year you told me to wait till this year so I could try out for conga." He says, "Oh, but conga players, I got them." I said, "No, but you told me that the last time." He says, "So I'll tell you what, there's conga in the room. Go get it, take it out the shelf, and play me a merengue, play me a bomba, play me a bolero, and play me a cha-cha, and play me a mambo." It was 5 things I had to do. And I played them. And he said, "You know what? You got pretty good chops," he tells me. I like your sound." I said, "Well, am I accepted into the band?" He said, "You know what? I do these spring festivals. So I'm going to use you for the spring festival." So sure enough, I got into the school band. Then when we would compete against other high schools, that's where I met Julio Romero. So when Julio Romero saw me, he says to me, "Hey, who are you playing with?" And I said, "Oh, no, nobody. I'm just playing here." And he says to me, "This is your senior year?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, you know what? I want you to play with me." And I said, "Well, I never played in a band." He said, well, it's always a first time. So that was like, my commencing of coming into the industry. Then I played with Pulpo, Gilberto Colon. He had a group also. And I still remember we used to have to drag our instruments, blocks and blocks, walking with those instruments to get to a little club. And then when you get to the little club, the man would run away with the money. And now we're not talking about the band leader. We're not talking about Pulpo. We're talking about the man who owned the club. So here you went 5 blocks, 6 blocks with congas to play. And sure enough, you never got paid. But coming back to how I got now into Joey Pastrana's group was that there was a club called Epoca on 222nd and Baychester in the Bronx. And, it's funny because I passed through there now and I look at it and it's small, but at the time it looked so big. Maybe because you're young, or when you look at it now, it's a whole different ballgame. So I walked in there one day and Joey was playing, and I walked in the club and somebody tapped me in the back and says, "Joey wants to see you." I said, "Me?" I don't know Joey. I don't know him. He says, "Well, he's looking for a conga player." And I told him that you play congas. I said, "I don't play conga. You back up. You get into that stage where you're backing up against the wall." So he says, "Come on, I've seen you playing in the park." I said, "What park?" He says, "Man, I see you on Jackson Avenue. Man, I see you on Jackson Avenue all the time." So sure enough, Joey called me and he tells me, "I want you to sit down and play with me." I said, "Look, I never played in a professional band," because by that time you're shivering because, it's like you saying, "I'm going into Tito Puente's band to sit down and play a number," So I played a number, and it so happened that his brother, Willie Pastrana, was leaving the group because he was going to make his own band. And that's how I came into the band, So sure enough, I was just graduating from high school. I was still living with my parents, and I told Joey, listen, Joey, I can't guarantee you that I can play in your band because I'm in school. He says, well, what grade you in? I said, I'm in my high school year. I'm finishing now. And he said, but why can't you play? I said, because I live with my parents. My parents are very strict. My parents always said school first before anything else. So sure enough, he even called my parents. And, my parents didn't want me to play. And honestly, they never wanted me to be a musician. Because of the drug scene at that time. And, they were very protective over me, and I begged my parents. I said, Mommy, Daddy, please, and they said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll let you play, but if your grades come down, that's it. It's over. I said, okay. And sure enough, I had to keep up with my grades to stay in the group. So that was my first professional group, and I stood with Joey for a while, and then I branched off.
I want to back up because one thing that I want you to tell the listeners is how you went from bongos to congas.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So being that I used to see all these drummers across the street, that was my joy. But I really love bongos, and what happened was that in one of the small groups, there was a good friend of mine. His name was Charlie Torres, and he says to me, oh, man, Eddie, wow, how much I would love to play in that band, but you got the bongo job. And I said, well, you know what? You want to play bongos in this band? I'll tell you what. You play bongo, and I'm going to try to play conga. Now, this was before I branched out to start playing with Joey. And so that was my beginnings. I really started on bongos. I love bongos, but I got into congas only because there was a friend of mine who wanted to play bongos, and I always had that good heart. And I said, hey, listen, be my guest. You can play here, and I'm going to try to play congas. And I got stuck on congas.
And look where you are now.
Yeah.
Well, we lined up a lot of different clips, but with the weather around the country, a lot of them, we're having a hard time getting them. But Earl, do we have the Joey, the Tony Pavon y la Protesta? Do we have that?
No, it never finished loading up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, one of the reasons I chose that song is because first of all, because that, as I understand, was the first group that you recorded with. Is that correct?
Well, no, the first group I recorded was Martín Galagarza y la Conquistadora. That was for a label called Vaya, for Fania label.
Okay, I never heard of that group, but
yeah, as a matter of fact, we recorded 2 albums. You know what? Let me see on my phone if I might have it here on my phone, and I could try to enlarge it and I could show it to you. Just give me a second. I'm just turning on this phone because I didn't want to be disrespectful. This thing could ring, and I'm just gonna lower down the volume here. But yeah, that was like the first group you could say that I recorded. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I was with in that group. Oscar Hernandez was with me from Spanish.
Oh, wow!
Yes, we were young, really young.
Anybody else we would know? Any other names we would recognize?
No, but
okay.
But it was really Oscar and myself. We were in that group. We recorded with that group. And then it's funny that you say that, because then Oscar and myself ended up playing with Joey Toscano.
Okay, that's it. That's Tony Pavon.
It won't. No, it won't. It keeps buffering.
That's too bad. Too bad, because I really wanted to be able to show the audience, there's a young Nestor Sanchez.
Oh, yeah.
Not just singing, but you can see, his photo.
Well, you know what? Let me see if I find the photo here.
Well, I think we've got the photo
here, and I can show it to you.
Which photo you want, Eileen?
There's Nestor Sanchez young. Look at that. I'm glad it's buffering there. He looks like he's about 12.
Well, this was the photo. Can you see it?
No, hang on. We still have Nestor's photo.
I have no idea.
Well, let's take it off. Let's take it off, and let's show the photo of Tony Pavone La Protesta.
Okay.
Wow, Nestor.
Can you see the photo?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Wow. I have no idea what's going on with the internet. I paid my bill.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, we gave it a try, but that's an interesting photo, because it looks like the way we used to dress back in the 70s. And, the style of music is befitting that era. And you look very young in there.
Yes, I was young. I was like 17. I'm not going to lie. And then, like you said, Eileen, every band had a dress code, in those times. And when a band walked into a club, they knew it was the band, because you saw everybody with the same uniform, same shirt, and or even if it was a jacket and a vest, everybody was dressed well, where you can identify the band. I'm going to give you an example. A tradition. Look at Gran Combo.
Mm-hmm.
Gran Combo up to today, it's always a dress code.
Yeah, Willie Rosario too. He's no
Willie Rosario. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The old school, the real school.
The real school. I like that even better. The real school.
Yeah.
We need to start using that phrase, the real school.
The real school. Yeah.
They exhibited a lot of class, and there's something about when you dress up, you feel different, and you act a little bit different. You change your behavior a little bit. So it's always great to see. Plus, men look so fabulous in suits. So why not?
Eileen, I always say that the presence of how you look counts a lot. I have my own group, as you know, and we're always dressed shirt and tie, everybody with the same tie. It identifies itself. I remember playing at Lincoln Center one day. It was very hot, very, very hot. And some people were saying, "Hey, Eddie, man, how are you guys going to dress?" I said, "Shirt, suit, and tie." "Oh, you crazy?" I said, "No, I'm not crazy." "No, I'm not crazy." I said, "There'll be fans on the stage. There'll be big fans giving you some air." But you know what? We're not, with all the respect, and I'm not trying to put nobody down. I'm not about that. But I'm not going up there looking like a bum. You got to represent. So that counts a lot.
Yeah.
You got to represent. If you want to put on jeans, you want to put on shorts, whatever you want. You know what? When the show is over, you put on whatever you want. But the show must go on. But you gotta look clean. You gotta look clean.
Well, we've got Maria Ravel listening and enjoying the show. After you were with Tony Pablo, and give us like a progression of where you went next, and then I'm going to stop you to tell us some of your experiences with the different bands that you're going to mention.
Well, I went with Ernie La Compilación. Then I believe I went with Alberto Santiago y Los Kimbo. That was another group, because when I was playing with Tony, when I was playing with Tony Pavon, I remember we did a gig. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been PA. And we did a gig opposite of Ray Barretto. And wow, when I can speak for myself, when you saw Ray Barretto, you shook. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, it is what it is. I gotta say how it is. I'm not gonna come here and try to cover the world or try to cover the sun. You know what I'm saying? But the truth was that I remember Johnny Rodriguez, they were gonna play Que Viva la Música, and he asked me to sit in with them. And I said, "What? Are you kidding me?" Here I go again, back towards the wall again. And with God's permission, I sat in, and Oreste took down my number, Oreste Vilaton, and never thinking of anything. Hey, he says, "Hey man, let me have your number." And I took his, he took my number. Never gave me his, but he took mine. So,
did you wait by the phone?
No, because I didn't think of anything. You know why I didn't think of anything, Eileen? Because he was playing with Ray Barretto. So I never thought of anything. Then after that, later on, they did Típica 73. And still, Johnny was playing conga, and, and it was Nicky, or it was Orete and then Nicky, but and Joe Grajales, of course, who came in. But honestly, I never thought of anything. And one day, still living with my parents, my mother, may she rest with the Lord, she said, "Hey, Eddie, I wrote a number there for you. I read it." And I wrote it in very small. I said, "Okay, mommy, give it to me." And she gave it to me. And I looked at it and I said, "Vilaton, mommy, Oreste Vilaton." And she said, "Yeah, he called. He wants you to call him." I said, "Mommy, do you know who that man is?" and I'm not gonna lie, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it turned out that I was scared. I was like, and at that time it was one of them, dial phones,
Right.
So I picked up the phone and I said, "Oh my Lord, I'm gonna call him," but I was shivering. And then he came on the phone, and I asked for him, and he came on. And he said to me, "Hey, Eddie, we're planning to do something, and we're planning to do another group." And at that time, he was with Típica 73. And he says, "But I would like to know if you're interested." And I said, "Well, yeah, if it goes, I like to be a part of it." So, sure enough, I started playing with Los Kimbo. It was a school for me. It was a school. Why? Because you had nothing but top-notch people there. You had Orete, you had Nelson Gonzalez, you had Joe Manazzi, you had Reinaldo Jorge, Alberto Santiago, Sal Cueva. Nelson at the beginning was playing bongos, but then Charlie Santiago came in, Pablito Dominguez. So it was Roberto, may he rest in peace. And it was a smoking group, and I was still a young kid. So I remember, and I got to say how it was. I would come in there and say, "You're going to laugh, Eileen, and you're going to laugh, Earl," but I would come in and say, "Hey, Oreste, how you doing?" He says, "What do you mean, how am I doing?" "Sit down in that drum and play like a man." And I'm like, "Oh, man." What's wrong with this guy? You know, so after a while, I was scared to say hello to him. You know, but he was like that. But it was Hard Knocks. You know, it was Fort Knox, but it was a schooling for me. Because you know what? Anybody can tell you at those times we played with no microphone. Percussions did not play with microphones. So you had to play strong. There was no microphone. Now they put a microphone. Now you don't have to kill yourself. At those times, you got to play. Wow. You know, because the horns got mics, but the rhythm section don't got no mics.
Right.
So you had to play. So it was a school for me. It was, you know, Hard Knock school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I you know, it was a schooling for me. And then, of course, I branched out. And then I went with Pete Conde's band, and that was a smoking band. He had left Pacheco.
Let's stop for a minute. I want to go back to Los Quimbos for a minute, just so that our audience understands the relationship between Típica 73 and Los Quimbos, and how the musicians from Típica broke off, and so two groups were formed, fabulous groups. And Eddie, you played here in Lorraine, one mile away from my mom's house with Los Quimbos.
Wow. Wow.
This was about 1977 that
yes.
Los Quimbos. So both groups, smoking groups.
Smoking.
Similar styles, but Los Quimbos a little bit more típico.
Yes.
In my estimation. So if you haven't picked up any Los Quimbos music, you know, listen to some of it on YouTube, because I'm talking to the listeners. You're going to love what this group does. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to put that in. So now let's talk about Pete El Conde Rodriguez, who I know you have the utmost respect and admiration.
Yes, I do. You know, another blessing. In my childhood, I used to see Pete Conde come into my neighborhood because he used to play with a group called Sensacion. This was before he started playing with Johnny Pacheco. May Johnny rest with the Lord. And Pete also, may they both rest with the Lord. And what happened was that I would see him come into my neighborhood because he was playing with that group called Sensacion. And he would pick up a conga player named Willie. The guy was a dark-skinned brother, and he would pick him up all the time. And I would see him because I knew who Pete was, because I used to buy a lot of records. So I was like, wow, that's Pete Conde. So then I opened up my heart. I say, hey, man, you know, my name's Eddie Montalvo, man. I love the way you sing. And we sat down like a father and son. And he would tell me, listen, Eddie, you know, I used to work in a printing shop. And I never thought about leaving my job. But, you know, I love singing. And I said, really, you worked in a printing shop? And he said, yeah, I worked in a printing shop. So as time went by, I used to date a girl in the projects, and it so happens that I would see him sometimes in the elevator. I would say, Pete, what's up? You following me? He said, no, where are you going? I said, well, I got a girlfriend on the 18th floor. So, and then he tells me, well, my mother lives here. And I said, oh, wow. So then I would see him at times, you know, Eileen, I would see him downstairs by the benches, sitting down with his mother. May she rest with the Lord. Pete looked just like her. And as time came by, he started playing with Pacheco. And he was there many years. And I guess one day he decided to go on his own. So what happened was that I got called for the job. And I was like, wow. And I must admit, Earl and Eileen, it was a smoking band. I mean, forget about it. Smoking. So, you know, you play from the heart. You know, it was a conjunto. Conjunto means that there's no timbales. Whenever you hear conjunto, it means that it's just bongos and congas. So you got to do your legwork. You got to play. So I was there for a while, and I remember one day I was playing in New York City at Barney Google's, which was the same sidewalk of the Corso. Eileen, you're laughing.
Right,
I guess you remember Barney
yes,
Google's.
yes.
So I was playing in Barney Google's, and to my surprise, Jose Manuel walks in, Jr., which was the bongo player for Willie Colon and Hector Lavoe. And he walks in, and I'm playing on stage, and all of a sudden he says, he goes like this, I need to talk to you, you know? So I'm playing, I can't talk to him, so I go, okay, you know, okay. So when the first set finished, I come down the steps, and he says, hey man, I gotta talk to you. I said, hey, what's up, Manuel? And he says, you heard me, right? I gotta talk to you. I said, Manuel, what happened? And he says, you know, Hector's outside, double parking the car, and he wants you to start with the band. I said, you crazy. I said, no way. You got to be crazy. I said, first of all, I've never done coro in my life. And, you know, I'm content where I'm at. I'm content where I'm at. So he says, well, then go tell him. And I said, no, you tell him. He said, no, you go tell him, please, man. Go outside. So I went outside, and Hector saw me, hey, Eddie. You know, like if he knew me for 1,000 years. You know. So I said, hey, you know, in Spanish, I said, Hector, how you doing? And he says, hey, did Manuel speak to you? You know, this is all in Spanish. This conversation is all in Spanish. So he says to me, did Manuel speak to you? And I said, about what? He says, well, he didn't tell you that I want you in the band. I said, oh, no. He did. But you know what, Hector? I don't think I could do that job. I said, I never done chorus and play conga at the same time. And, you know, the perfect combination, with all the respect, and may he rest with the Lord now, because he was alive at the time, was Milton Cardona and Manuel. That was a perfect combination.
Yeah.
Perfect combination. So what happens? He don't want no for an answer. So he's telling me, well, I don't care. You're going to give that man 2 weeks. I said, but listen to me. Suppose I don't make the grade. Suppose I fail. Then if I can't make it with your group, then I lost this job behind me. And he says, I don't care. I said, no. I'll tell you what. No, I'm serious, Earl. I said, I'll tell you what, man. Let's do this. Let me go rehearse with you. And if you think that I passed the grade like a report card, you know, and you think that I honestly passed the grade, then I'll give Pete the 2 weeks. He says, okay, in Spanish. He says, okay, I'll see you at the rehearsal. I said, well, when? He says, Tuesday. I said, okay. So honestly, Earl and Eileen, I rehearsed for about a month. And when I rehearsed for that month, he said, you're ready. And I'm going to be honest with you, I still remember every time I opened up my mouth, Manuel would take a shot, because that's how terrible my chorus was. You know, and I admit it. But you know what? That was my learning school, where I learned how to do coro, how to do chorus, and how to stay on that pitch. It was a learning school for me. So here comes the catch. So now I'm saying, okay, now Hector wants me to give Pete Conde 2 weeks. My Lord, how am I going to tell this man that I love the guy loves me. I don't know how I'm going to tell him that I got 2 weeks, that I'm giving him 2 weeks. 2 weeks notice, because I'm leaving the group. So what happens? I remember playing one day, and I said, while we're playing, I said, Pete, at the end of the night, I need to speak to you. And he says, you okay? I said, yeah, no, I'm okay, but I need to speak to you. So he says, okay. And he's, you know, Pete was a great dancer and great maraquero. You know that, Eileen. I mean, this guy was a smoker. He was a smoker with his feet. So sure enough, the gig is over, and I said, Pete, can we speak? He said, yeah. And he says, what's wrong? And I said, look, Pete, I'm going to give you 2 weeks. And Pete stopped like that. And he looked at me, he said, what's wrong? And I said, no, Pete, I'm planning to go back to school to study back at the college. And he said, are you sure? Or is it that you do you want more money? I said, no, Pete, no, it's not about money. It's not about money. And he says, are you sure? I said, yeah, Pete. So you want to go back to school? I said, yeah, Pete, I want to go back to school. You sure it's not about money? No, Pete, it's not about money. It's not about money. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll let you go because you're going to go back to school, and I respect that. But you got to give me a little time to get a conga player. I said, I'll tell you what. I'll do it better for you. I'll get you a conga player, and my uniforms, I'll make sure that I get a guy that my uniforms will fit him to the T. and Eileen and Earl, that's what I did. All jokes aside, that's what I did. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding.
Who fit in your uniform?
I got a guy named Roland. So what happens? Here comes the real big catch. So I'm happy. I got him a conga player. I gave him my uniforms, which I paid for them uniforms, but I ain't gonna charge the guy for his uniform. So it's, use them in good health here. All the suits, all everything we wore. Yeah, because we had to pay for those uniforms. Each band, they take it out of your salary every week. This was like a layaway. This was like a layaway. So, sure enough, here comes the bad part. So I'm happy. I left in good terms. Pete thinks I'm going to school. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, here comes the first dance. Beautiful. I said, man, first dance with Hector Lavoe, man. First time I'm going to do chorus on a bandstand, not no rehearsal. First time in the club that I'm going to do this, and I pray to the Lord that I do the right thing, that my voice stays where it's supposed to stay. And as I'm going up the steps, I hear Pete on this band playing. How do you like that one? So when I heard that band, boy, I wanted to do a Michael Jackson go or moonwalk back. But what happened? So I go upstairs. Oh, I never forget. As I'm telling you this, I can see it in my mind. So I put my 2 drums in front of the stage, and all of a sudden I see Pete looking down like that. He's playing maracas, and he looks down like that. And I'm like, oh, Lord, what? I lied, and it caught up to me. So when the set was over, Pete came right up to me, and he said, I thought you were going to school. And I said, man, Pete, I'm sorry, man. I'm serious. I said, I guess I wanted to just make a move and try something else. But I was embarrassed, but it taught me a lesson because, you got to be straight up with people. Because it catches you, if it doesn't catch you at the beginning, it's going to catch you at the end. You know what I'm saying? So I learned my lesson. I was straight up with Pete. And I stood with Hector, and it was great because playing with Hector Lavoe, and I must admit, it was another world. Why do I say that? Because Hector was loved so much that he could do no wrong. And Eileen, I'm pretty sure you know that. I mean, make a curse on the stage, and people will laugh. And you're like, if somebody else would curse, they're like, yo, what is this guy doing? Get this guy off the stage or whatever, But he was a people's person. And Eileen, as you know, sometimes he wouldn't show, or if he came late, he would tell the people, he would tell the public, just like this. He says, you guys came in too early. yeah. He would say that. He would say, you guys came in too early. And we were supposed to start at a certain time. He came when he wanted. But, and the people stood there waiting for him. And I recall, I can tell you this from the heart. I recall there was gigs that Hector didn't show. And he would call me in the next day and he would say, call the band. I said, Hector, where were you, man? Don't worry about where I was at. Just call the band. Tell them that tonight we're playing. I would say, Hector, the band said that they ain't coming tonight because you didn't show yesterday. Well, you tell them that they're going to get paid for yesterday and not to ask me no questions. And, it was like that. So I'll call up the guys and I'm serious. I said, are you sure he's coming? I said, listen, he called me today. He said he's going to pay you for last night that he didn't show and not to ask him no questions. And he would. We would get to the gig and he pay everybody, and like nothing. Don't ask me where I was at. You got paid, right? Okay, that's all that counts. And you're going to get paid tonight after we finish this gig. So that's the way Hector was. He was a people's person, And many times, and I must admit that many times, he would tell me, because, I really loved the guy. And everybody know that he had a drug problem and everybody knew that. But, when you love a person, you look out for the person and you try to say, listen, man, don't go down that road or don't hang out with these people. These people just want to say that you're their boy and all they're doing is they're damaging you. They're giving you the bad medicine. They're not giving you Tylenol. They're not doing the right thing. So he would tell me, I love you, man. I said, I love you too. And he would say, well, you know what? I have a gig and I'm taking you with me. I said, no, you ain't taking me with me. I said, if anybody that you're going to take is the musical director, which was Jose Feble, one of the trumpet players, because he was an arranger in the band. And he would say, no, I'm not taking them. I'm taking you. I said, but why me? I'm just a conga player. I'm taking you. Don't ask me no questions. The ticket is already bought, Eddie. And you know what, Eileen, if you look at some of those YouTubes, you only see me with another band and he's got me. And I praise God because, a lot of people say, oh, he got abandoned. He never got abandoned. There's stories people say, oh, he never got abandoned. We used to go see him in the hospital. I could tell you stories, which I don't really want to say, live here. But I could tell you stories where, I remember one time seeing him and he said, how you got in here? I said, I was Ralph Mercado. Yeah, because they only had like three, they had his wife, they had Jerry Masucci and Ralph Mercado that could see him. And I already knew the game. So I walk in there and at the time they didn't ask you for no IDs like they do now,
right.
And I said, yes, who you going to go see? I said, Hector Perez. What's your name? Ralph Mercado. And they would look on the line. Okay, sir.
Look nothing like him.
I'm telling you, Eileen, I mean, I really had a good time. Then, being in Hector's group, I got called for the Fania All Stars in 1979.
How did that feel?
And that blew up was where, first of all, Johnny Rodriguez had told me, listen, I'm going to be leaving Fania because Johnny wasn't there too long. And he said, they're going to look for a conga player. But I never thought, honestly, that they would call me. And I understood that I believe from a comment I heard was that Mongo Santa Maria was supposed to take the place. And they asked me to try out, and I kept the place. Now, I'm not Mongo. May he rest in peace. Mongo is a monster, in my books. But I guess it was two different styles. So then I got called by Pacheco, and I never forget, it was Jerry Masucci and Ralph Mercado that were there. And, I went to rehearse at SIR's, which is where they filmed the Cheetah. They filmed the movie A Latin Thing. That was the Cheetah. SIR was the Cheetah. It was called Studio Instrumental Rentals, or that was the name that they gave it, the SIR. And I remember opening up those front doors, and when I walked in, Eileen and Earl, when I heard that band behind closed doors, I started backing up. I'm not gonna lie. I started backing up with my two congas. I said, I'm out of here. I said, that band is too powerful for me. You know, you're still young. I was 27 years old. 27 years old, going to go now try out for Fania All Stars. So as I pulled back, that I'm leaving, all of a sudden the door opened and Pacheco saw me, and may he rest with the Lord. And he says, Montalvo, where you going? And I said, what was I going to say? You know what I'm saying? So sure enough, I went in, nervous as hell. And I went in and I did 2 numbers, and Johnny called me like this. He says, I want to talk to you. So I'm you know, Earl and Eileen, I'm trying to take my time putting the congas back in the bags, because they were army bags, because we didn't have conga bags. It was army bags, them green bags. And they pulled me out to the hallway, and he says, what size are you in jacket? And I said, men's small. Why? He says, you a men's small? I said, yeah. I said, my waist is a 27, and I was weighing 127 pounds. I was a skeleton. So he turns around and he says, well, you know what? We have to send 2 jackets to be made. And I said, why? And he says, well, congratulations, you're a Fania All Star. And I panicked and I said, no, this is Ray Barretto. I kid you not. I said, no, this is Ray Barretto. See, they said, no, Ray Barretto went to play jazz. You're the new conga player here. And honestly, the first trip that I took personally with the Fania, my first trip with Fania was to Cuba. It was that CBS.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a cultural exchange between the United States and Cuba. So it was the Heath brothers, Rita Coolidge, Billy Joe, everybody, Willie Bobo, everybody and their mother was on that plane. It was a private plane. Oh, the Heath brothers, everybody. Weather Report. I never forget Weather Report. Everybody. If you guys can look it up, you'll see it. It was called CBS Havana Jam. Is the name of that album. And my first experience was going to Cuba with Fania All Star. And wow, what an experience. I must admit that there was no money. It was just a cultural, musical exchange. But who did I not see in that concert? I mean, I got to see, Idaquere. I got to see Tata Guinness. I got to see Peyo Lafrocan. I mean, we can go on and go on and go on. So it was a great experience for me. That was my first trip going to Cuba. We went back to Cuba in '81. We played in the Karl Marx Theater in 1979. And in 1981, we did the Varadero Beach. They have these festivals. So that was that. And then, of course, I started traveling. And it was a good experience because I started traveling with Fania. And I must admit that my doors opened up where I started recording a lot. Because in Fania, they used to record like every day, you could say. And you had all those artists. You had, Tito Allen, you had Luigi Texidor, you had Celia, you had everybody. So my doors were open where I was being called to do a lot of sessions. And sometimes we would get there and we didn't even know who we were recording for, what artists we were recording for, because honestly, Fania stood busy with their recording studio.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can we get two pictures up, Earl? Let's get the Hector Lavoe picture. And I know it's you, Hector, Reynaldo, Jorge, and I don't know who the other guy is. So if you can identify him for me for my own knowledge base.
Okay, I don't see the picture yet. What I see it. Oh,
There
okay.
it is.
Okay. You had
behind
Harry de Aguilar is behind Hector Lavoe,
Okay.
and you had Reynaldo Jorge.
Yeah, that I recognize him.
Right, Harry de Aguilar. Harry de Aguilar passed away. May he rest with the Lord.
Okay, and let's get up the Fania All Star photo because this just looks so fun.
Oh wow, that's
Look
great.
at that.
That's great, man.
Wow.
That's a great.
Happy people.
That's a great photo.
Wow.
And you know what? It's so sad, and I must admit that every time I look at that photo, because I have it here on my wall, a lot of my colleagues are just gone with the Lord.
Yeah, half of them
Yes,
are gone.
yes.
Wow.
But what fabulous days those were. Fania All Star
You know,
were
Eileen,
incredible.
Eileen, that was the best times. And you know, Eileen, you had so many singers, you know. It was a lineup of singers, a lineup. And it was a great show, you know. It was a great show. So
Well,
you know, I really thank the Lord that I got to be a part of it.
Well, when you would hear the singers and you know their little sonero challenges, you know, trying to outdo the last improvisation that one of the singers did. I mean, they were incredible with their creativity, being able to rhyme words, picking up on what the last singer just sang about. And they were having so much fun doing it, and we were laughing at some of the things they were singing.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you a joke. I never forget. You know that with Fania All Stars, there was always jokesters, and one of the jokesters was Roberto Roena, Papo Luca. Those guys were. As soon as I came in, I was like the hot item to burn. So you know, yeah, I gotta admit it. I admit it. But I remember that when I started catching up to their game, I said, "Okay, you guys want to play games? Okay, we're gonna play games." So once they saw me attacking, they said, "Hey man, it's gonna be us three." And I said, "No man, it's not us three. Each man is on his own because you guys started with me, so now you're gonna get murdered." You know what I'm saying? So I remember one time, and this is a true fact. Hector came in with a beautiful pink suit. It was pink. I mean pink. So since we were always laughing, traveling on the bus all together to the venue, I remember that I looked at everybody and I said, "Listen, I'm gonna say these words in Spanish." I said, "¿Cómo tú te llamas, mijo?" And everybody's gonna say, "Yo me llamo Pepto Bismol." Okay, so what I was trying to say was, Earl, I was trying to say, like, what is my name? And everybody says, "Your name is Pepto Bismol," because Hector's suit was pink, like the bottle of Pepto Bismol. You know, so I mean, so you have to see this because it's on a TV show. He's singing, and all of a sudden I scream, and the whole group goes, "Yo me llamo Pepto Bismol." You know, and then Hector turns around back like "You son of a gun," you know. "How can you guys do this to me?" You know. But it was a ball of fire. That group was really a ball of fire. I mean, you had to be on your P's and Q's in that group because, God forbid, you fell asleep. That was it. I mean, I remember with Nicky one time they put makeup and all kind because he fell asleep, and they put all kind of makeup and everything. You know, he didn't even know that he was being. You know, they were putting makeup and everything in his face. I mean, you had to be in your P's and Q's in that group.
Wow.
Because if you fell asleep, forget about it.
Well, I want to move forward because I mean you've got such a long history and such a long career, and I want you to tell us about how you were brought into the Ruben Blades' new creation, Seis de Solar.
Okay. Well, in 1978, I recorded with Willie Colon because I was also doing some things with Willie Colon. And I was playing with Willie. And it's funny because I hate to say it like this, but you were always busy. It was a nonstop operation. It was like a locomotive always running. So I was playing with Willie, and I was asked to record the Siembra album. That's the Pedro Navaja album. From what I understand, that album sold 25 million copies all over the world.
The best-selling salsa album of all
The
time.
best-selling salsa album all over the country, you know, South America, everywhere. So that album was like the album. So I recorded that in 1978. Ruben was a singer, and down the road, Ruben called me, and we had a conversation, and he said, "Hey Eddie, it's Ruben, Ruben Blades or Ruben Blades, however however you want to say it." He says, "Listen, I don't know what I want to do, but I haven't decided yet what move I'm going to make, but if I do something, would you be interested in being a part of the group?" And I said, yeah, no problem, call me. And sure enough, I believe it was 1982 or 1983, but I think it was 1982. He decided to do Ruben Blades y los Seis del Solar. Now, he decided to make a sextet when all the groups out there, Earl and Eileen, had trombones and had trumpets and or baritone sax. You know, it was major big groups compared to a sextet like the old Joe Cuba. So he started selecting musicians. And I received a call, and he said, "We're going to have a meeting in my apartment." He was living in Manhattan at the time, and we met in his apartment. And he said, "Listen, fellas, I plan to do a sextet. I know everybody probably thinks that we should go with the flow of the other groups that have trumpets or trombones, but I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. I want to know if you guys are willing to stand with me and fight the battle, because they're going to make it hard for us because it's a sextet. Because the promoters are used to bands, again, with horns. This is going to be a Joe Cuba. But if you guys are willing, united we stand, divided we fall." So sure enough, he did the group, and we recorded the first album, which was Buscando America. And that was a great album. And from there on, we just expanded. We just kept going. And a lot of people say that was a great, great group. I hear a lot of people saying, "Man, that was magic." The bonding of that group was like unbelievable. And sure enough, we lasted a long time, gonna be honest with you. And then we did the last tour, which was, I believe it ended in, if I'm not mistaken, 2009. But that Earl and Eileen, that tour lasted almost a year. you know. And I must admit that this is the first time I've been in a group where the band leader actually, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, he said, "Would you like to go on salary or would you like to go partners?" And of course, we picked partners. So you know, we did good. You know, the what can I say to you? The tour paid well, good money. We lasted almost a year. I mean, where did we not visit? You know, but I had some really good experiences with Celia Solal, and I still remember also. I don't remember the year, and I'm sorry about that, but I remember us doing the Amnesty International in Chile when Pinochet was the dictator, and I must admit to you that we played at the stadium where they would execute the people. You know, and as soon as you got into that stadium, the hairs in your body would just like raise up. Maybe mentally, you knowing like you're going into a stadium where everybody got executed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there were like 100,000 people there, and that's on YouTube. You can look at it. It's on YouTube. It's Ruben Blades Amnesty International. I believe there's two concerts. You'll see me on one of them. You don't see me on the second one. But the first one was the original. Wherever you see me at, that was the original. But you know, I've had a good run, and I had a good run also. You know, with Pacheco, with Johnny Pacheco, and it was great playing with Johnny because you know I love that tumbao sound. And Johnny was a gentleman, and I have a lot of recordings here on my Mac computer of us playing live. Eileen, I will send you some stuff. You're gonna always remember me. And when you hear that, I can see you dancing in your room there.
In my office.
You know what I'm saying?
Know, I want to talk about the side that people don't know about you because, like the song El Cantante, where we think all of you guys with tremendous careers, you got it made. Everybody loves you. You know, the world is oyster. But tell us, you had a day job.
Yeah, but I'll get back. I'm going to get to the day job second.
Okay. Okay.
It wasn't easy, you know. I must admit, many times, again, I had to lug two congas, one on my left shoulder, one on my right shoulder, maybe walk 5 blocks, walk down 4 flights of stairs to finally get to the train. Now you got to walk up the train steps to get all the way to the top. Put the congas over the turnstile, put the token in at the time, because now it's a Metro card, but at the time it was a little token. And you stick the token in and you push the turnstile and you're in. And you go down to the club and you get all the way downtown. And when you get there, the club owner will say, you know what? Can you guys give me another hour because this is not full yet, the capacity that I would like for the club to be full. And if it doesn't get full, you have an option. You can either play one set or you can go home. Now, can you imagine you leave your house, it's cold, the wind is blowing against you, you get to a club and here goes the owner telling you, this place is not full. Can you give me a break? Can you either do one set or you have an option? You can go home with no pay. So, you know, we went through all that. You know, it wasn't easy. See, now it's a different ball game. Now, the musicians, you go there to play a concert, you don't have to lug your gear because the gear is on the rider. So you get your congas, timbales, bongos, whatever, except the horns, of course. But and the piano, you get all that. when we had to lug at the time. But I just want everybody to know that even though God gifted me with playing, I got to admit that I started working for the electric company in New York City, Con Edison, in 1973. So imagine all this time that I was with all these groups, I still was holding on to a day job. I wasn't just living off the music. I never lived off the music. So I did this for 34 years. What ended my career working with the electric company of New York, Con Edison, was because I worked the World Trade Center. I worked 9/11 when both towers went down. And I put 2 months there. And my shift was from 7 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. And what happened was that my lungs got scarred. And one day I was at the job and I called up the supervisor saying, "Hey, Eddie, you don't look good." And I'm saying, like, come on, I'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning. And he says, "Hey, Eddie, I'm talking to you very serious." And I said, "Yeah, I'm serious also. I'm good, man. I'm good." And he would turn around, and he turned around as I was leaving in my car. He got in front of the bumper and he said, "Listen, I'm talking to you from the bottom of my heart. I want you to go check yourself out." I said, "Yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it." And you know how hard-headed we could be, us men could be. Well, I went home, and when I got home, they told me, "Hey, what's wrong with you? You don't look good." And I said, "Oh, no, please, don't even say that. They just told me this at the job." So sure enough, I went to have myself checked out, and I winded up, honestly, a week in the hospital. If it wasn't that I got there on time to see a doctor on time, I probably wouldn't be here today because my lungs and everything were already collapsing. So they had to put me on prednisone, and forget about it. It was a big mess. But I thank the Lord, that I was able to do that for 34 years. I don't knock nobody for living off music. I don't. But as you can see, everybody can see with this pandemic, whoever lived off music, it really put a damper on you because there was no income coming in, unless you get into one of these musician funds that they can help you out, So I was one of the lucky ones, praise God, that, I walked out with a pension and Social Security.
Wow.
Well, a bad time for, all Americans, and people around the world felt it. I was surprised to find out that you were in the thick of things during that time.
Yeah. Nobody knew it.
Yeah. Right.
Because everybody looked at me like Eddie Montalvo lives off, music.
Right.
And what really made me, and I must admit it how it happened. One time I was looking at a movie about jazz, and I saw how, wow, when at that time when musicians would die, they would have to do a collection, and I said, man, I don't want to go down that skid row,
Right.
So I applied for a job, and praise the Lord, I lasted there 34 years.
Wow.
Well, Eddie,
so it's a struggle. It's a struggle because I had no life. I gotta admit it. I had no life. My life was playing, getting out of the club at 4 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, back in the manhole in the street. If I wasn't playing, I would have to send a substitute to play, and I had to be recording with Fania. So that my life was recording, playing, manhole. Again, recording, playing, or manhole, or playing, recording, and manhole. I had no life, but when Earl and Eileen, when it was all over, was when I said, my Lord, how did I do it? Because it's a struggle. You know what it is to get out of a club at 3 and you get home by 4 o'clock in the morning, and at 7 o'clock in the morning you're back in the manhole. And I'm serious. I'm talking about 7 o'clock in the morning. We're not talking about 9. We're talking about 7, because my shift was from 7 to 3:30 in the afternoon.
Wow.
You know, so you know, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Thank God you were young and strong.
Yes.
Mr. Montalvo, you were speaking how sometimes you have to send substitutes. I read in the book, Jimmy Morales' book. I want you to elaborate on
that guy was my brother.
Yeah.
That guy was my brother, man. I love that guy, man. He rests with the Lord. I cried that brother, man. I did. You know, I even went to his funeral and everything. You know, my Lord, that guy was my brother. And you know what? I must admit this to you, Earl, and I have to say this. Somebody told me, did you listen to Eddie Castrillo's podcast? And I said, no, why? He said, you know who was on it? I said, I'm pretty sure a lot of musicians. And he says, well, you know what? Gilberto spoke very highly of you. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He says that Jimmy looked up to 2 people, Ray Barretto and you. And Gilberto said in the interview, he said, you know, when Jimmy would walk with Eddie, he was like in heaven. See, now the brotherhood that we had was that we would call each other, and I'm being honest. I can be on the phone with him for 40 minutes, and we would talk. And I must admit that, you know, he lost a child and he never got over it. You know, and that was one of his. You know, that was one of his downfalls. But, you know, that guy was, man, what can I tell you? He was such a gentleman and such a great conga player. Yeah. Great conga player. I mean, the smack that guy had was like unbelievable. You know, meanwhile, he's looking at me and I'm looking at him like saying, no, you're the cat, not me. You know. And I'm serious. You know, I love that guy, and of course, like I said, I went to his funeral services. As a matter of fact, we even did, and I'm gonna, you know, Eileen, I must send you this video. We did something for him, with a guy named Ismael Rosario. We did something for him where all the drummers we got together and we did something, and then we spoke at the end of the video.
Wow.
I gotta send you that. Just remind me, because you know, I'm getting older. You know, I can start getting that Alzheimer's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll remind you.
He said you sent him. You got him the gig working with Hector Lavoe. You sent him to replace you one day.
Yeah. What happened was that we went to Puerto Rico to play a concert. I went with Hector. I was in Hector's band. And I had to get back to New York to work with Con Edison. So I told him, listen, there's a gig tomorrow, Sunday, and you're going to do it. And he says, are you crazy? He tells me in Spanish. I said, no, I'm not crazy. You're going to do it. You're my brother. You're going to do it. And he said, Eddie, he says, Hector's like my idol, the guy that I love. And I said, well, you're gonna love him tomorrow, because tomorrow you're gonna do the gig. I said, I gotta leave. I can't stay. I gotta work Monday. I gotta be on this plane tomorrow, which was on Sunday. So sure enough, they went to Ponce to do the gig, and it so happens that he went riding in the same car that the Hector was. So he was in La La Land. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
He was in heaven. But that guy was my brother, man. I mean, listen. I talked about him the other day and my tears came out. I swear, I'm not lying. Yeah. Because that guy, forget it. As a matter of fact, look, this was the last photo. Now that you're saying that. Yeah, look. This was the last photo we took together. I even sent it to be made. Here, I'll show you now. Now that you brought that conversation up. I sent this to be made so I can hang it on my wall, but I'm waiting because this was the last photo we took together in his house. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Look, I had it done on a canvas. Look.
Fabulous.
Whoa. Yeah.
That's how much I love this brother, man.
Okay. I just got one more question to ask you before I turn it over to Eileen. She can finish it off. How did you hook up with my friend Pulpo?
Oh, Pulpo and I, we grew up together. Pulpo, I met Pulpo, at a young age. We were kids, like I said before. He was in high school. I was in high school, but I was in a different high school, of course. I was in a trade school.
Yeah.
I was in a vocational trade school. And we met and we hit it off, and we would always be like a brother, we were always together, And then he decided to make a little group, and I played in the group. Mm-hmm. And remember when I said that we would go with those instruments 4 and 5 blocks, drag them, and then when you get there, the man would cut out with the money, and you never got paid. Well, one of those incidents was with Pulpo's group. We crossed Crotona Park in the Bronx, and we got up to 174th Street. I'll never forget. And it was a Thanksgiving dance. They used to call it the Gobble Gobble dance. And I kid you not. And we got there and we played. After Earl, look, I gagged because I still remember it. We're talking about dragging a Fender Rose piano.
Oh
my
God.
Fender Rose piano.
Wow.
Through Crotona Park with timbales, congas, bass player with the amp, because at that time they used to have the B15 amp, which was a big amplifier that you turned it over and it had the tubes on it. It had those tubes that light up.
Oh my God!
You guys are bringing me back to time. Stop it now. Stop it. So sure enough, we would drag all that. I never forget. So we dragged that all the way down to 174th Street in the Bronx, and I'll never forget. At the end of the gig, the man cut out with the money, and we never got paid. So I must admit also, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, I remember this happens a lot in those times. Sometimes, promoters would run out with the money, or you had a band leader that told you that he didn't get paid, the whole 9 yards. And I remember going to Puerto Rico, and I'm never going to forget that. I went to Puerto Rico with Joey Pastrana, and we played 3 days in Puerto Rico. And when it was time to get paid, I still remember we had to make a line outside his hotel room. It looked like the Temptations and the Delphonics were coming to the Apollo Theater. You know what I'm saying? It was a big line. Everybody's online, and I'm the last guy on the line. So I remember one guy will go in and get paid. Once he opened up the door, the next guy will walk in. Well, of course, they kept the young kid all the way at the end. And when it was time to get paid, my man said, "Hey, Eddie, man, I just ran out of money." Oh, and, I was young. I said, "Yeah, okay, Joey." He said, "But don't worry about it. When we get to New York, you're going to get paid." I said, yeah, I know. Don't worry about it. If you ran out of the money, I know you're going to pay me in New York. But you know what? I received a phone call at my mother's house. My mother said, "Eddie, Joey." I said, "Oh, okay, mommy. Hello? Eddie. Hey, Joey, how's everything?" He said, "I got bad news." I said, "Joey, what happened? Somebody died?" He said, "No." He said, "The check that they sent me, it bounced." The deposit check bounced. So you know what that meant? That I got beat. That's what it meant. Because I never saw the money. So,
Wow.
you go through your trials and tribulations, like they say, in life. So you learn by people taking advantage. And then if you stay on that gravy train, then that's on you. But if you learn after that one, where, you're going to be ahead of the game, make sure that you get paid or give me a deposit up front, then you're ahead of the game.
Well, Eddie, I want to talk about not just your accolades, but about your Grammys. I want to talk about the proclamations, and I especially want to talk about how you have been being recognized almost on a daily basis, and particularly leading up to the congressional record. So tell us about everyone honoring you, recognizing you, appreciating you, and putting it in writing or in gold.
Thank you, Eileen. But you know what? My Lord, these are things that I never expected. And after we finished the tour with Ruben, I decided that I wanted to record. We had the money, we made money. And I said, well, I want to record something. And I remember, you're going to laugh at this one, Eileen, but I remember that I was in Puerto Rico and I happened to walk into Richie Viera's record shop. Mm-hmm. It was called La Catedral de la Salsa, La Catedral de la Salsa. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I remember walking in there and Richie Viera, the son, his father was still alive also, man. He rests with the Lord. And I remember him seeing me and he says, hey, Montalvo, what are you doing? And I said, well, you know what? I came to look at some old material here because I want to record. And he says, really, you want to record? And I said, yeah, I do. And he says to me, I got a tune that has never been recorded and I want to give it to you. And I said, what tune? And he says to me, come in my office. So he pulled out a tune and he tells me, this has never been recorded. And perhaps you can have Ruben sing it because the composer is one of his idols. The composer was Tita Alonso.
Oh, wow.
So I said, really? And he says, yeah. I says, well, I'll tell you what, let me hear it. So he goes onto his computer. He had a Mac, opens up his computer, and he lets me see the wording. And I said, wow. So it was about a rich family, but they wouldn't let the kid come out and play with the kids that were poor. It was called El Hijo del Ricachón. That was the name of the tune. So while we were on tour, I asked Ruben, I said, Ruben, I plan to record. And I still remember Ruben was reading a newspaper and he closed the newspaper. He lowered his glasses. He said, what are you going to record? I said, well, I want to record what I like. And he says, well, what do you like? I said, well, Ruben, I'm old school, man. And he says, but what are you going to record? I said, well, I have a tune for you. And he says, really? I said, yeah. I have a tune that was never recorded by one of your idol composers that you love. And I'm saying it in English, but I said it different in Spanish. But it's the same thing. So he says, really? And I said, yeah. I says, well, I would like to know if you would record the tune for me. And he said, yeah. He says, but you got to give me some time because I'm going out to do a movie now. I think it was with Wesley Snipes, if I'm not mistaken. So he said, but you got to give me like 2 to 3 months. And I said, okay, but you'll sing it? He said, yeah, but you know what? I gotta see what I'm gonna sing. I need, I need the reference for, so I can see what I'm. And I said, okay, no problem. I said, I'll send you that. But what happens at the time? May he rest with the Lord. Our brother Jimmy Morales was in town with Gilberto Santa-rosa, and he came here with Jose Lugo,
wow.
Jimmy himself, and Pablo Padin, which was a timbale player. And they came to my house because I have a lot of music and I have a lot of live stuff. And us musicians, we love music as anybody else. So they came over to the house, and I was talking to Jose Lugo, and I said, Jose, I plan to record. And he said, get out of here. He says to me like that. And I said, oh man, what? I can't record? What's wrong with you? And he says, do you really plan to record? I said, yeah. And he says to me, well, I'll tell you what, who's going to sing? I said, well, I have a tune that Ruben's going to sing. And he said to me, let me do the arrangement. I said, are you kidding me?
Wow.
And he said to me, yeah, I'm serious. He said to me, no, I'm not kidding. And I said, okay, you got it. So, Eileen, I will send you that. I will send you that. You don't have that. So that's the album that I recorded. And I'll give you another one better than that. In that time frame, I went back to Puerto Rico and I let Richie know that Ruben was going to record. And he says, well, you know what? I got a surprise for you. I said, what surprise? And he says to me, there's somebody in my office that wants to speak to you. Who? Hold on. Who? Hold on. And he says, stay there. And I was in the front where they had all the CDs that were selling all the CDs. You know, I was in the store part, the store. And he went to his office. He comes out with who? Cheo Feliciano.
Wow.
Wow.
And Cheo says to me, I heard you're recording. I said, yes, I am, Cheo. And he says, and what happened to me? And I said, Cheo, you know, I'm embarrassed to tell you that I didn't ask you because I don't put a price tag on nobody. But if your price would have been high, I would have been embarrassed because I probably couldn't pay it. And he said to me, you know what? You're a son to me. You select whatever record you want me to record, and you tell me the date and time, and I will be at the studio. And sure enough, I recorded I selected a tune called Caunabo, which is the other part of Anacaona.
Right.
And it's called Caunabo. And Cheo sang in the album. So, you know, everything was a blessing. Everything was a blessing. There was a tune that I recorded, you know, also that I asked Willie Rosario if he would play timbales on one tune, and Willie Rosario said yes. You know, so the bonding with all these colleagues of mine has always been a blessing. So I recorded that album, and that album got nominated for the 2013 American Grammys. So that album was nominated, and I also got a Grammy from the tour with Ruben. We have a Grammy. And I had left the group, but there was another album that also was Grammy nominated when I had left the group for a while with Ruben. And so it's 2 Grammys and a Grammy nominee. So it's been a blessing. Then I just decided to record another album, and you guys are gonna laugh. I recorded the album, did not put voices, and where I am sitting at this moment, I opened up a drawer and I threw it in the drawer, and it sat for 2 years. And I said, Lord, whenever you think that I should put voices in this album, you let me know. And one day I went to Puerto Rico, and like all the doors opened. Everybody said, hey, man, I want to be part of that. So you know what? It was a blessing. I recorded another album, and then what happens? The pandemic hit. So that's when Eileen, I'm going to show it real quick. Here goes your CD. Boom. Okay, it's already packed. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to show your address, but I'm going to put it the back way so you can see it. And brother, send me with Eileen. Send me your address, and I will definitely, Earl, send you a CD.
Thank you.
But, so it's been a blessing. The album's been selling on its own, and when I record old school because I always record for the dancer. And Eileen, I know you laugh because you love that, but I don't think about myself. I always like to play for the dancer, and I like to have a group that we play for the dancer. I don't rush my numbers. You could be with a band that rushes. No, my thing is laid back for the dancer. It's not about me. A lot of people say to me, Eddie, why don't you, take solos? And I said, well, this is not about me. It's for the dancer. I might take a solo in one tune, but that's about it.
Tell us the name of the CD so everyone can get it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to bring you a copy. I'm going to show it to you right now.
Okay, hang on.
Give me 1 second.
All righty. Well, Earl, we almost didn't need the video clip.
I swear, I was just thinking the same thing.
Really?
We gone almost 2 hours and we hadn't even played a video. We didn't need a video clip.
Right. Stories, real life experiences. That's what we want to learn about, because that's the side of the musicians we rarely find out about.
Exactly.
Yeah, we just see them on stage looking good, playing their hearts out, making us happy, but we don't know about the trials and tribulations of their everyday life. We don't know the hard times they went through. We're happy to hear about their best moments, but life balances.
Yeah.
Well, this is the previous album, and I'm gonna be honest with the public. I have to send this album again to be done again because they ran out of copies. But as you can see, I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, this was the Grammy nominate. This is the one that Ruben, the singers here, was Tito Gonzalez, Rico Walker, Cheo Feliciano, Ruben Blades, Wichi Camacho, Domingo Quiñones, Pichi Perez, and Isaac Delgado.
That's a killer CD. Every tune on that CD rocks.
This was the CD. Now, this is my newest album.
And I didn't think it could get better than Desde Nueva York a Puerto Rico.
Well, I'll let you hear it. And you give me your feedback, because I know you're straight up.
I don't know. There's 3 songs that I don't know which one I like better. Señor Tambor, I think, is fabulous.
And Chango de Maria.
Yeah, Chango. And then, God, I wrote down the name.
Well, you have Tributo a Ruben Blades. You have Señor Tambor. You have El Guapo.
El Guapo, that one.
Right. So this is the album. They have it in CD Baby. They have it in Amazon, Spotify,
And
and
people
and
should look
YouTube.
on, they should look on YouTube to see the recording session. Because
Yes, as a matter of fact, on YouTube, you can listen to every tune that's on that album. On YouTube, it's no holding back. You can listen to the tune from beginning to end. They're not cutting it or nothing. You can listen to all 10 tunes.
well,
All 10 tunes are on YouTube.
I was very
And-
surprised and Tempo
And this-
Alomar, haven't heard from him for a long time.
Yeah, well, let me tell you the story with him. It so happens that I got hired to go with my band to Mexico. We played in Distrito Federal in La Maraca. And while we were there, I always liked El Chango de Maria, that was really Tito Rodriguez.
Wow.
That was really Tito Rodriguez, but
Wow.
Conjunto Libre did it many years ago.
And
And it was Tempo Alomar singing. And so happens that the gig that I was doing, I saw Roberto Roena and Tempo was on. So I said, Tempo, and he gives me a big hug. I said, Tempo, you know what? You're going to record with me. And he said, are you, in Spanish, he says, are you kidding me? I said, no, I'm not kidding you. I said, you're going to record with me. And he said, what you going to record? I said, I'm going to record a Chango de Maria. And he said, nah. I said, yeah. And you're going to sing it. And he says, count me in. Count me in. I said, okay. So he thought I was joking. So I came to Puerto Rico. Remember what I told you? I recorded the band and I put them in my desk. I threw the MP3 here. I said, whenever. I waited 2 years. Jokes aside. And all of a sudden, Eileen, I sent Tempo the MP3, just the band, and he went crazy. He said to me, Montalvo, what is this? And I said, El Chango de Maria. And he says, oh my God, how long do I got? I said, you know what? Take a week, but promise me that you're really gonna do the homework. And he said, no, I'm gonna do it. But when I gave him the MP3, I already had the chorus on it. I already had the vocal, just the chorus. So that way you can just sing and you got the chorus. So what happens? He went crazy. He went bananas. May he rest with the Lord. And he did a great job. So.
And the
He
recording
tells me-
session is on YouTube, that people can actually see the recording session.
Yes. But let me explain to you something. So we can just clarify this. When I recorded in Puerto Rico, I recorded with the guys that I always like to record with, And of course, I have my band in New York. But the video that you're seeing in New York also, I don't know. I have a video of my band, and I have the singers, which was Luisito Carrion, Keivan, and may he rest with the Lord. Again, I have a video with my band and them, and if anything, I can send it to you because I can send it to you, Eileen, and you're gonna say, wow. And everybody's been talking about that, but you know why I did that? Because it was pandemic time, and you know what? You wanted to keep everybody's souls happy, because with COVID, with all the respect, a lot of people get depressed, and a lot of people have lost loved ones, and people have lost jobs and everything else. So, I just wanted to keep the momentum of keeping people happy, keeping the public happy, So I went out of my way, to do this. And it was a home run because people were saying like, wow, Thank you. We needed this, because that everybody's been stuck in their homes. It's funny because I'm gonna do a gig now, September 25th, on 115 and 3rd Avenue in the barrio in New York. And I called my musicians today to remind everyone that we're going to rehearse. And, Eileen, a musician said to me, man, Eddie, it's almost 2 years that we don't play. And, and it's funny because, Eileen, you don't look at it, but if you really look at the works of it, we've been off all that time.
Wow.
So, everybody's happy, like, hey, man, we can't wait to get back. And of course, we have to be precautious. We got to put the mask. I got my COVID card. You know what I'm saying? I got my COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we gotta stay tuned. We gotta stay focused. You can't break the rules.
Well, your music during the pandemic, for that stuff coming out, this was rocking in my office. I'm going to tell you that, rocking in my office, pulling me out of my chair, just one hit after the other. And, it's difficult to have a CD with so many cuts that are all good.
Well, thank you for that compliment. Coming from you, it's a home run because I know you're very critical.
Yeah, because
that you're very critical.
There's mediocre music out there. It's as much as we love salsa, some of it's crappy.
Yeah, and you know what? Again, Eileen, and I say that with an honesty. I'm not knocking nobody. Please, I'm not about that. But to me, I always like to make music for the dancer. And if I'm going to do something, I do it right or don't do it at all. I'm not going to do nothing mediocre. I'm not. All these arrangements that you can see, a lot of them are brand new, that you never heard before. Okay, and Chango de Maria, of course, because I love that tune, because I always love that tune from Libre. But everything else, if you look, you're going to say, wow, I never heard that, because it's the truth. But, I try to do the things right and not taking no shortcuts. Earl can be an arranger, and I know he arranges good, and I say, Earl, here's this composition. I want you to rock it, man. I'm not crying about the money, because a lot of people start, can you give me a break? And this, no. if I can't do things, then I won't do them. I'm not better than nobody. No, I'm not. But this is the way I operate. I'm not better than nobody, please. And I'm not knocking nobody. I don't want anybody who ever seen this to feel like, oh man, no, I'm not. I'm not knocking. I'm just telling you the way I operate, and that's why I take my time. Look, like I said to you before, this album, I put it away. I put it away for 2 years in my drawer. Boom, I threw it in there. And I said, Lord, you guide me. I go to Puerto Rico and all of a sudden the doors open. It's like the Red Sea opens up. Boom. And it was a blessing. It's a blessing. And of course, again, everybody's their own world. Maybe you don't like it. It's okay, but maybe somebody else will like it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not forcing nobody to like it, but hear it on YouTube, and if y'all like it, give it a comment.
Let me ask a question. You're holding up the back of the CD. Are there any liner notes inside?
Yes.
So important, because that's how we become familiar with the musicians, the arrangers, the engineers.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm going to open this. And I'm going to show you that I'm old school. I give everybody the credit. And I'm going to show you that I even have the musicians, look. Okay, even the musicians And
Yep.
look, here goes the liner notes, but one of them was Ruben.
Uh-huh.
The other one was Jose Mazo. Look.
That's why I asked. The back looked like it had so much. Look at that. That's one
Okay,
of the
and
things
look at the
that's
inside.
lacking now. Look at, we can become really educated about what you did, how you did it, and who was part of your team.
Yes, and look at the musicians.
Yep.
Wow.
So if you're gonna do things, do it the right way. Don't half step. If you remember, I don't do this for money, because I'll put it to you this way, and I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it how it is. We do this to leave a legacy. This is what we do it for. If you think that you're gonna record an album and you're gonna make your money back, forget about that. Don't think that way. Don't think that way. Don't think that way. Think that I'm leaving a legacy for another generation, that they could look back and say, "Wow, who was this guy?" And look at what the guy did, and follow the tradition. You know what I'm saying?
It'll live forever. And let me give you a line that Ray Barretto said at the Smithsonian, because he was playing that night and they interviewed him earlier. You could go in for free to listen to the interview and ask questions. And they asked, I don't know how this came up, but he said, if you want to make $1 million in salsa, you have to start out with 2. So we know you guys do it for the love.
Yeah, you do it for the love,
and you become immortal.
And you know what? Honestly, we do it for the love. We do it to leave a legacy, and it's costly. It costs us to record. You gotta pay arrangers, you gotta pay your composer, you gotta pay musicians, you gotta pay studio time, you gotta mix. It's a whole lot of things that go with it. But if this is what you like, then don't stop your dream. Don't stop your dream. Don't. Just say, you know what? I'm doing this for the love I have, for the years I have done. If you really look at it, I got 50 years in this, because I started at the age of 17. You know what I'm saying? But, I thank you and Earl for, putting this program and teaching people that what is the musician's life, and besides that, what is salsa. I really give you guys, the kudos that, from my heart, for what you guys are doing. This is like a lesson, teaching the public what they don't see and what it takes to do things, and the sacrifices that you have to do what you do.
To make us happy, to bring joy to us.
Yes.
That's what you guys do.
Yes.
For us. And you can let any of your fans and friends and family know that this is archived. So if they missed the live show tonight, they can go back at any time to review it. And all the other people, Jimmy, we did Joe Baton a couple of weeks ago. We did
wow.
We did Nathan Rodriguez, who told us.
Oh yeah,
Conjunto
Borinquen.
Yes, what a
Chicago.
swinging band. And he told us just like what you were saying. He learned how to be the engineer. He learned how to build a studio. He learned how to mix. He learned everything because it's so costly. So
and it's funny that you say that, because again, I go to the studios to record, so it gets costly. You got to pay engineer, the whole 9 yards. And and he's a great kid, and I say kid because he's younger than I. But Nathan is such a great guy. And it's funny because I have a program here called Garage Band. And one day I had problems. And he says, hey, Eddie, man, call me anytime. I'll help you with it. You know, because remember, the school I came from was not with the computers.
Right. Back in those days.
So now it's a new thing, you know. So we're behind the 8 ball, you know what I'm saying? So you learn by your mistakes and making a mistake. And you know, I don't want to make a mistake. So it's funny because I called him one day and he said, hey Eddie, call me anytime. And you know, I didn't want to bother him this week. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was just recording a tune for Luisito Carrion in Puerto Rico, who sent me the track. And I put it here on my Garage Band, but I was having a problem with one of the microphones, and not the microphone itself, but the microphone on the screen. And I called up the piano player that plays with me in the band, and I said, hey, you know, Adam, I got a track that I got to record, man. He says, hey, Eddie, man, just come to the studio, you know. So I went to the studio and I knocked it out. Praise God. I knocked it out on the first track. And he says to me, oh, man, you knocked it out on the first track. I said, well, you know, I had to study it. I didn't want to go there, you know, with my pants down. So, and then I said, listen, man, what I owe you? He said, nothing. I said, oh, no. I don't play that game. I got to pay you. I said, there's lights that go on in here. You know, no, that doesn't go with me. You know, so I gave him some money. But it's funny because, you know, Nathan is such a great guy, man. And he's got a good group. You know, he's got a very nice group, very danceable group.
Yes.
What you like, Eileen? What you like?
Bringing back that old style,
yes,
that conjunto style that, you know, everybody can dance to. And if they get in the groove and play for 10 minutes, you can last 10 minutes because they don't go crazy.
Right.
They just get the groove going. You know what, Eddie, this has been our longest interview ever. You know, we I don't know how we ever thought we were ever going to keep it to 60 minutes. It's never worked. And so we said, well, you know, let's do 90 minutes, but we're already we're
already 2 hours, right? 2 hours?
2 hours and 7 minutes. So, you know, Eddie, we might just have to bring you back again.
Yeah, well, we have a lot, you know, we have a lot to go on. I mean, oh my God, don't worry about it. You know, you'll bring me back some other time and we'll have a great time laughing.
Well, and then we can play some of the actual video clips because, you know, there's so many that I would like you to weigh in on, and we didn't get to do it today. And maybe it was a blessing, so we could hear all the stories instead. So
okay,
yeah, we're gonna do a part 2.
We'll make it. Sure. I know you got a line up there like the Apollo Theater of artists that are coming back, but
we're getting lucky, Eddie. We're getting lucky.
You got them people like going back to the Corso.
Wow. As our friend Nancy Alonso always said, the Corso was our generation's Palladium.
Yeah,
exactly. The best. The best.
Thank God.
Every time I pass through there, you know, Eileen, every time I pass through there, I still remember looking up home
stairs,
home of the mambo.
Yeah.
Tony Ramone.
Who do we have next week, Eileen?
Oh, let me hang on. We've got a really great lineup coming up. So let's see, where are we? Okay, so we did Eddie today. Next week it's Artie Ramos from Side Street.
Oh yeah, Artie.
What stories he's got? Frankie Vasquez, El Sonero del Barrio.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Hermano Olivera and Joe Conzo. And I think I have somebody for October already. Let me see. Benny Bonilla, who is
oh man, God bless him.
Oh my God. I never even knew of him. And then
Benny Bonilla is a real old timer with the real stories because he came way before me. And you know, he comes back from the Tri-Towns and all those places that he used to He used to play. He used to play with Tony Pavon before I did. As a matter of fact, he's on those albums. I Like It Like That, Pete Rodriguez.
Yeah. I would have never.
I'm not gonna blow his cover, but he's got a lot to say.
Well, he was certainly a gentleman on the phone, and I can't wait to get there. You know, Earl and I really have a mission to really spread the great news about this music and our culture, knowing that people will, if they already love this music, they're going to adore it. You know, the more they learn, because you just take it in, and you helped us so much.
Oh, thank you.
To be able to get these stories out and sending me all these photos. I'm like, God, and none of them had names. They all had numbers.
You know what? I gotta, oh my Lord, I have, you know, you're gonna laugh, but I have so many, well, look, these are some of the recordings that I've done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I've recorded, I thank the Lord, I've recorded in more than 200 albums.
Wow.
In the Latin field. You know what? Just give me 1 second if you don't mind. And I just, before you shut me down, you throw me out of your program.
Ain't gonna happen.
You know? But there are so many photos that I have. I'll give you an example. Things that I did with Hector. Look, can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't identify anybody, but I can see it.
Look, playing with Hector.
Wow. How lucky we were to experience him during.
Yes, look. Here, this is something like the picture that you showed me before.
Yes.
But now here you have, Ronaldo Jorge.
Mm-hmm.
You have Ray Maldonado, which was Richie Ray's brother.
Wow.
That's right. Forgot about that.
And you have Jose Febles and you have Jose Mangual.
So that's what Febles looks like. I knew that name.
Down there.
I knew that name because he was always listed as an arranger. Well, not always, but lots of credits.
And look at this photo.
Yes. And you know, while you've got a picture, you came up when we were talking to
look at this photo. Ismael Rivera.
Oh my goodness.
Hector, myself, look.
Wow.
Oh no, I got forget about it.
Well, everything that you send me, I name. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Wow. This is one of the episodes that I told you that he would take me and he would take the group. And then of course you got all the Fania pictures. Oh, I got forget about it. You know. Look, here, look at Cheo, myself,
Adalberto. Who's the lady?
That was the lady that used to put the makeup on people's faces, but she said that I got so burnt up with the sun that I didn't need nothing. Look.
kind of what's his name? Donald Trump color.
Oh Lord.
Pacheco.
Yeah.
Who's with you?
Johnny Pacheco and Pupi Lagarreta.
Oh wow. I never saw him young. I never saw Pupi young.
This was playing with Fania.
What a band. What a band.
Playing with Hector again. Here goes all of us, some of the guys.
In your uniform.
Piconde, Pupi, Ismael Miranda, Luigi Texidon, and myself.
Luigi. Love him. And he was in the army with Elvis Presley. That's how old he is, Luigi.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. This is when we went to Cuba. You could see Jaco Pastoria from the weather report. He's all the way in the back. Look, he's all the way in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Back there.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen a photo of him. I just know him as the great player.
Well, that was him.
Great bass player.
From the weather report. That's us in Cuba.
Wow.
Yeah, no, believe me. We have a lot to continue. Oh, and
well, this is our prelude for part 2. Yeah, we showed that one earlier.
Yeah.
Santos Colon with Pete.
Wow. Such a great voice for boleros, but he could swing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he could. So I guess you guys want to shut me down, but I love you guys. I want to thank you for opportunity to share some things about my life. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and for giving me your love.
All right.
Thank you for consenting to this. You know, this takes your time, but it truly is appreciated by us because we really want to share the great news about your life and your career and where you fit into the whole scheme of things. And Richard Mojica says, I follow Eddie's interview. This one was one of the best. He's down to earth. Yes, he is.
Yes.
Nice guy, gentleman, and just all around humble but fabulous musician. Eddie and everyone that joined us tonight, we thank you for being with us. We hope you learned a lot. We hope you had fun because we did.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week, and we'll let you know when part 2 of Eddie Montalvo, Lifetimes in History, comes back.
Hey, what day is the 25th, sir?
My birthday.
No, but what day of the week is it?
It's on a Saturday, and I'm playing with my band on 115th Street between 3rd and Lexington at 3 p.m. sharp, free to the public. So whoever wants the mambo, come on down.
I'm coming up there that day.
All right. I'll be waiting for you.
And then we'll take a picture, and then 30 years from now, you'll say, yeah, this is my picture with Earl Rush from D.C.
You're too much, man. You're too much. But you know where I'm at. I'll be there at 115 between 3rd and Lexington.
I'm coming up for real.
On my birthday. That's my birthday.
Yes. Beautiful. It's in my calendar. I can't wait.
Well, I'll be looking out for you, Earl. Just walk up to me and say, yo, this is my Earl, the Duke of Earl, I'm here.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Montalvo.
Hey, thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. God bless y'all. I love y'all. Eileen, thank you so much. Earl, I'm short of words to give you thanks. And to the public who was watching this, I hope it was a helpful, beautiful night for everyone to learn about the tradition of our music.
All right. Great. Okay.
Thank you. God bless you both. All right. I love you.
All right. Okay. Eileen, I'll see you later.
Okie dokie. Bye-bye.